Good morning all and welcome to the Infrastructure Standing Committee meeting for Wednesday the 2nd of February 2022. To welcome those councillors and staff who are with us here in the chamber today, and also those who are joining us via our Teams meeting remotely from your computers, and also welcome those people who are watching via live stream. This is a new process for us today. So the first time we've live streamed what is effectively partly a virtual meeting, and we'd ask that those who are watching us bear with us as we get used to the technology. I'd like to now open the meeting with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. I don't believe we have any requests for leave of absence or any apologies for today's meeting, so I'll now invite Councillor Duff to provide the recognition of our traditional owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge country and the land where we meet this morning, the Waka Waka land. I acknowledge the elders, both past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Item 4 on the agenda is opportunity for councillors to provide disclosure as to any declarable or prescribed conflicts of interest at item 4. Councillors, please speak up if you have any matters on the agenda that you wish to raise as concerns in relation to any conflict of interest. Okay, we've got silence there, so we'll take that as there are no declarations of conflict of interest. We'll move on to item 5.1 on the agenda. It's at page 5, and it's the minutes of the previous meeting of this committee, which was held on the 1st of December 2021. And just before we move into that, just in terms of, forgot to say, with our process today, we trialled this at our ordinary meeting last month, and just for everybody tuned in, I thought with our process today, what we'll do is give each councillor the opportunity to speak in order of division from 1 through to 6, and then the next time round we'll alternate and go from 6 back to 1. So that, of course, we have a 5-minute time frame on that, which is normally plenty of time for councillors, and that'll just give us a little bit more structure. I just found it a bit hard last week to identify who wanted to speak, and also it became a little bit unstructured in that we had people speaking on multiple occasions. So we just want to make sure we have a good, productive, efficient meeting. So we'll do that. If anyone wants a second opportunity to speak, if you could please, if you're in the chamber, obviously put your light on. If you're not in the chamber, please just indicate verbally that you'd like to speak a second time. Happy to do that in terms of the flexibility of a committee meeting. When we move into the ordinary meetings, we'll come back to a much more obviously formal process whereby one opportunity to speak only would be provided, but happy to have a bit more flexibility in terms of second opportunity to speak at the committee meetings as we as a group had discussed previously. So just to clarify that, moving on then to the minutes at item 5. First of all, we'll probably just get a mover on those that the minutes be received. Do we have a mover? Councillor Henson's moved that. A seconder, Councillor Duff, thank you. So we'll just go around from Division 1 to Division 6 and see if there's anyone who wishes to raise questions or speak in relation to those minutes. First of all, Division 1, Councillor Froloff, are you there? Okay. Councillor Jones?
Yeah, thank you,
yes.
Mayor. I've got no questions to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones?
All good, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Potter?
All good, thank you.
Councillor Shoemaker?
Yes, no questions.
Councillor Duff?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to ask on an update on the question on notice on page 9. Just or When is the community consultation taking place in relation to the redesign of Apex Park, Cumbria, possible relocation of overnight motorhome and camping to the sports ground, heavy vehicle truck decoupling and parking bay facilities? And will the Divisional Council be involved in that? Just an update on where all that is at with the Cumbria project. Thank you.
Mayor, this is except the minutes are accurate or incorrect. So we'll do that one after. That'd be business arising. Yeah, right. But yeah, so if there's any changes, alterations, or omissions, yep.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we'll just start. Any issues with the minutes, Councillor Henson? Happy with the content of the minutes?
Yeah, no, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks,
Happy-
Councillor
happy
Henson.
with them.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, we've got that motion there. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour, show of hands if we could. Okay, I've almost got everybody. We'll just wait for Councillor Froelich to come up. Yep, we've got show of hands, so carried unanimously. Thank you all. Rightio, so yeah, is there any business arising? We'll go around again. I think Councillor Duff, well, let's come back to you then. Business arising, Cumbria design plans. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to update on the Cumbria facilities, as in the question on notice on page 9. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Duff. General Manager Brennan, if you're there, question 9, it was from the previous minutes where it was in relation to the community consultation on the redesign of Apex Park at Cumbria and the possible relocation of an overnight motorhome and camping ground on the actual sports grounds out there, along with looking at heavy vehicle truck decoupling and parking bay facilities. So it was really looking at what will the consultation process be, timeframes around that for the park, the camping grounds, and also the heavy vehicle decoupling. Any updates you can provide would be appreciated. Otherwise, we'd leave it with you. Thanks, General Manager.
It is a joint project between myself and my colleague, General Manager as well, Mayor Otto. So we haven't progressed it since the last standing committee, and we will report back in relationship to that. So apologies, I don't have any further to add just at the moment.
Yeah, we might just take that as a further question on notice for a report to come back to the next standing committee. If we could, that'd be appreciated. You happy with that, Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
Councillor Henson.
Yeah, could I just speak on that, Mr. Mayor? In relation to that and Manager Brennan, yes, I know there was a conversation had with myself and the team in relation to the question on notice, Councillor Duff, that we're looking at what and if there's any implications with the streetscape in Cumbria at the same time. So that's a little bit of work in process there with the decoupling bay as to where it may be or possibly be positioned, along with the motorhome. There's talk of that down in the recreation area down near the tennis courts and that. So there's a little bit of work to do in that space, and it hinges around that transformation of the streetscape in Cumbria as well.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Anything further, Councillor Duff?
No, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. Councillor Henson, anything further for you in terms of business arising? Nothing else there. The only one I had was John Street, Kingaroy, General Manager Brennan, the engineering design for the rehab works on John Street. Note from the December meeting that had been commenced. Just probably wanting a quick update as to how's that progressing and approximately what sort of time frame are we looking at before we could see the works start there, if that's available at this time.
Thanks, Mayor. I do have James in with us, so I'll ask him. We have reported on our current progress in the portfolio report, but James can probably answer that question on the spot.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I can confirm that we have completed John Street in Kingaroy, but I understand that with a few challenges in the new year that it's impacted on the commencement of works. So yes, we have completed the design, but it is in the chute for delivery now.
Thanks very much. Yeah, well, we'll look forward to that in the portfolio report. Thanks, General Manager and Manager Darcy. Okay, well, is there anyone else, anything else you've noticed there, councillors, you'd like to raise from the minutes? If not, do we need to do anything with general business? I don't think we did, Mr. CEO, in terms of resolution, do we? So we'll move on then. Item 6.1, I'd now like to invite Councillor Jones to present his roads and drainage portfolio report. Thank you, Councillor Jones.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Not being in the chamber today, I'd like to present the portfolio report as read that's in front of you. Everybody should have at least a copy and had the opportunity to read that. So I'd like to present it as read, but I'd just like to pass on a big congratulations and thank you to the staff that have had to deal with ex-tropical cyclone Seth and the recovery works. A lot of our staff, General Manager Brennan will be able to elaborate on this, but mid-January they were all taken off maintenance work, all that sort of put into maintenance. So people in the community may have seen a bit of a halt to works, and around the region, all bar the staff on the KTP project have been put into maintenance to try and deal with the recovery work. And I would just like to congratulate all the staff, men, women, inside and out, that have done a remarkable job in getting services back to normal ASAP. Obviously far from normal, but understanding that we've got to put a claim together and try and get somewhere up around that $10 million, I believe it is the figure that we're talking, trying to get federal funding to try and fix those roads. So these roads will be made safe to a point, and the public just need to understand that this could take up to 12 months to try and get the funding through and the approval and the works completed to get the roads back to as they were. So asking the general public to be patient and understanding of that. I guess that message needs to be put out, because we do get hammered when staff go out and do repair work, and then the people see it and they drive away, and then they start abusing us because it's not back to how it was. They don't fully understand and have never been given the full story of what's involved in trying to get recovery money from the federal government and how long it takes. So that's maybe something that our media section might want to respond to. So basically there has been a little bit of a halt in the other works because of the ex-tropical cyclone recovery works that happened in mid-January. But I would like to present my portfolio report for February as read and be accepted in the chamber. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Jones has moved that. Do we have a seconder? Hand up. Show of hand. Councillor Potter, thank you. Okay, so before we pass that through, do we have any speakers? We'll go around. Councillor Froloff? No.
Sorry, just no questions and that. But once again, yeah, I agree with Councillor Jones. Well done to the staff that have been out there since we've had these issues on our roads. And yeah, congratulations to all the staff for doing the hard work.
Thank you. Councillor Potter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'd like to agree with Councillor Jones and Councillor Froloff with regards to the staff and all the hard work they've done during this time, you know, before Christmas, with the rains we had before Christmas and the flooding there, and then with Tropical Cyclone Seth. So they've had a lot of work, we've had a lot of damage, and they've done a lot of work to get to this stage now. So thank you, guys.
Councillor Shoemaker?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the extensive report. I did just have a couple of questions. Just in relation to the update for the Blackbutt CBD footpath and streetscape project, I know we're all very excited about that. And I just see the expected start date is February with completion in June. And I just wanted to make sure we're on track to actually start works in February. I understand, you know, it's the 2nd of February today, so I was just keen to understand that parcel of work. My other question was just in relation to, I note in the report, page 18, it's wonderful to go out with the team yesterday. I'd certainly like to thank Manager Kevin, Ian and Aaron and Christy, who met us councillors and the QRA yesterday out by some roads, having a look at some of the damage and the repair work that had been done. It was excellent. I just see in the report we talk about our project management contractor, Red Frost, and that we mention our current capital works program and some of the operational works programs such as patrol grading will be impacted, which is further to what Councillor Jones was talking about. I just wanted to understand, I noticed through the report, that we're working through the delivery solutions to address these issues in conjunction with the flood damage. So I just wanted to understand in terms of, what that actually looks like, the time frame. I could see you've included the Red Frost project management time frame, just more about when we can expect to get that QRA approval and when we can expect to see those flood works actually start, and I guess what it looks like at the moment in terms of that capital and operational works program, and if there's anything that needs to be reviewed in that sense, because I'm mindful how important that is, particularly that patrol grading. So are we sort of close to the end of that repair work, or are we planning to maintain this sort of focus for a while yet? And they're my only questions. I just, and certainly want to echo the comments of everybody else. It's unbelievable to read how many roads our crew have travelled. Field staff have inspected thousands of roads and certainly undertaken a lot of emergency repair work. So, and giant thank you for keeping our community safe. They're my questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
General Manager Brennan, if we could direct those to you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Otto. And Councillor Shoemaker, I will rely on Kevin to assist me with response, but I will commence by saying that I signed a letter of acceptance for the contractor offlay for the construction of the Blackbutt CBD works, and that has been that was signed yesterday, actually. So they are on track to still commence as previously advised. And we will be undertaking a letter drop of impacted landowners, as well as providing ongoing engagement with that, as of course we must. So we were just waiting for the appointment of that contractor, and we'll be away. Secondly, in relationship to the movement of resources to the emergency works, the advice that we've given reiterates that advice that we gave to the general meeting of council and my earlier advice to councillors. So the date of this advice was 19th of December, and things have very much progressed since then. So if I may take the liberty of providing a little bit more update time-wise to the actual report. The movement of resources was twofold. It was part of our business continuity plan and our concerns over a large number of resources becoming unavailable. That was coupled with two natural disaster declarations, a pretty unusual set of combination of events, you'd have to say, and not all of the, I suppose, negative impacts that we anticipated have come to pass. So to answer your last question, when might we see a return to work on those capital projects which have been postponed? Kevin will provide the direct detail, but we are commencing planning towards progressing those. So any capital works that are externally delivered really haven't been impacted, such as the one I just reported on. But other projects, such as our resheeting program, are awaiting for us to get on top of those emergent safety works, which are and remain our priority focus. We have through to a date in March in relationship to our emergent works. Kev will confirm that. But as we approach that date, we will break the back of the amount of work that we've got to do. We will be moving towards the lower priority repairs, the lower risk defects that we need to deal with, and we will be progressively moving our resources back. So that coordination that we've been providing, focused on dangerous defects in our system caused by those flood events, will be able to taper off. Kevin, could you just provide the answer in relationship to that, the end of the emergent period in March?
Yeah, thanks, Jed. Probably just before that, with the Blackbutt CBD upgrade. So indeed, we have recently engaged a contractor, and we would seek to confirm their start date, their establishment date, and that will provide an opportunity to then take that to particularly the businesses in the CBD of Blackbutt, as well as the community, to look at the sequencing and the timing of the sequence of works, and to discuss how that impacts the individual businesses and the community. So we'll be able to provide additional information during this month, with an expectation that the contractor will establish the site hopefully this month, but still to be confirmed. In terms of the flood damage, yes, we have engaged a Red Frost to assist in the project management. The Queensland Reconstruction Authority framework around what we can claim and what we can do and what's emergency and what's essential, restoration of essential public assets is quite complex, and they will support us in that area to make sure that we claim as much as we are eligible to claim through that process. And one of the key things is adequate information such as photos and changes, etc. And Councillor Schumacher touched on the patrol grading. And one of the issues we're very cognizant of is we don't want to grade over all of the damage prior to us taking photos, recording changes, etc. Otherwise, we're deemed ineligible we essentially can't prove that damage without that evidence. So it is quite a complex mechanism there. In terms of our emergency work, so there are a number of tiers within the flood damage and the emergency work. We have a limited period of time to get all the emergency work, which is essentially saying we want to make our assets, in this case roads, safe for the public. So it's not a permanent fix, but it's opening the roads up to make safe, and we typically have 3 months to do that. So for us, it's mid next month is when the emergency work time period cuts out, and then we endeavour to move on to the permanent works, which will form the bulk of our current estimates, between 5 to 10 million, and that permanent restoration work forms the bulk of that amount. And prior to actually commencing that work, we, unlike the emergency works, we need to put in a submission to the Queensland Reconstruction Authority and get approval for that. And so we're looking at our first submission, completing that by the end of next week, and commencing discussions with URA perhaps the week after for them to look at assessing that. And what that enables us to do is to move from emergency onto our first submission of restoration work. In terms of timing for the restoration work, out of interest, we do have 2 financial years to complete the flood damage. Do appreciate that there is a desire to complete this work as quickly as possible. And so you look at our initial time frame that I've provided in the report, and we're looking at a 12-month window at this stage. But bearing in mind, of course, we're still going through that process of picking up our flood damage and understanding the quantum of that. I think I've assisted in answering everything. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Kevin. That was a great update. Really appreciate the additional context. Thank you. And thank you for your time yesterday. No further questions. Thank you.
Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it was a very good tour yesterday at with the QRA representatives, and I was really pleased with the work, the emergent work that's been done on Dip Road. It was in a real mess, and also the Campbell's Road. The potholes have all been addressed. So, just thank you to the staff for what you've done so far to make our roads safe for our community. But my question is just on page 17, there is a bitumen reseal program. It says reseal program underway on various roads and streets. I'm just wondering, has the chamber been presented with a list of those roads, or do you have a list that we can have a look at just so we know what roads are being resealed with that in that program? Thank you.
If you could lead that. Thanks, General Manager Jed.
Thanks very much, Mayor Otto, through you and to the councillor. I believe that originally in our budget we had an allocation, but more recently in our second quarter review we did identify roads associated with the reseal program. I would undertake at our next infrastructure standing committee to provide the individual details of the roads completed and those left to complete. We are approximately 50% expended on that program. Kev may wish to add a further comment to that, but I can certainly provide that list as part of the infrastructure report at our next standing committee for your information. But I believe we did provide a breakup of the works in the second quarter review process, but Kev will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, just to add to that, the bitumen reseal program is largely complete. There is one main road that is still to be resealed, Brooklands Pimbungie Road, but certainly happy to provide that list for councillors' information.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Jones. And just like to bring it to everyone's attention that it is so good, and thank you, Manager Brennan, to see some positivity come back from the community and emails that's been sent thanking the staff. So I hope that gets portrayed and passed on to the staff. We don't often get too much of that, and I'm sure Manager Brennan and Manager Searle could pass that on to the staff that are out there slogging away in some pretty unfavourable conditions. Also, just for a little bit of useless information, and I know you'll all smile at that because it's probably been a while since I've had some useless information, but in watching the unsealed roads and the sealed roads patrol grading, and I know that a lot of the patrol grading has stopped because of having to work on the immediate problems we have with the recent rain events prior to Christmas and after Christmas with the Cyclone Seth. But just when you look at those figures there in the patrol grading, and 1,448 kilometres, and with 50%, 754 or 34 kilometres of that has been done. So I would assume that that's been tracking almost perfectly up to date, considering the time frame we're at in the year to date. And also, when you look at the slashing on the sealed roads, there's 1,846 kilometres of slashing to do, and we are 492. Is that correct? Completed for year to date 492. If you look at that slashing, 1,846 kilometres. In the miles we traversed yesterday, I was absolutely astounded to see the roads that were slashed and the conditions they were in under the conditions that we've been through and the seasonal conditions. To get that rain early in November, December has had incredible growth. Now, traversing from the western side of the South Burnett Regional Shire to yesterday, where we travelled down into Councillor Duff's, probably in your furthest northern patch of your decision, Councillor Duff, it was incredible to see. From when I left home to when I got there, I actually saw an enormous amount of work. But to put that into perspective, 1,846 kilometres. And I saw the guys out in Division 6 yesterday. That's something like, and they do 2 passes on each side of the road, so that's 4 passes. That's a total of 7,384 kilometres, and if they just do 2, it's 3,692. That's an incredible effort to do with a slash on a tractor up and down our road network. So a huge thank you to the staff, and it's a pretty long and thankless task that they do when they finish it and we get rain, and within 3 or 4 days it's back up again. So nice to see, Manager Brennan, that you've passed on those emails of compliments from our residents and ratepayers out there. So that's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone want a second opportunity to speak before I ask a few questions? And we'll go to Councillor Jones to wrap up. No, everyone looks fairly comfortable. Just a couple of things there. General Manager Brennan, I'm going to grab your notepad. Just a couple of these things. In light of the conversation we've just had, Cumbia Streetscape, intention was to have that completed by 31 December this year. Just want to confirm, or I suppose get an update on whether that is still achievable in light of what we're now dealing with. Glendon and Markwell Street roundabout, similarly, when we can expect to see that completed in light of the challenges we've now got. And possibly just an update on the works that are being undertaken at Coronation Park, Wandai, with the design of a car park and stormwater. Perhaps just if we could have just a quick briefing on the nature of the works, the scope of the works, and what the plans are to have that completed. The final question I had was in relation to the Wandai Industrial Estate. We have had issues raised by the community in relation to the drop-off on the edge of the asphalt. Of course, we've built that asphalt up quite high. Is there any intention to provide some sort of a graded shoulder, because it's a fairly serious drop-off, particularly on some of those 90-degree bends? If a vehicle was to go off the edge, that could be problematic. Or is the work, as we said at the moment, complete? So if I can leave those with you, General Manager Brennan, thank you.
Thanks very much. Mayor Otto. In relation to Cumbia, and I will rely on both managers to assist me in this response if I could, but we are through well through our process with Cumbia, and with the underway with the Markwell roundabout. It's a black spot funded project, so I don't have any concerns in relationship to program wise on those. Taking into account, though, they will be relying upon external resources. That will be where the concerns lie in relationship to those. So we certainly need to keep our foot down. You will see in our infrastructure portfolio report full details of our progress against those design jobs. So I'll let James add to those. In relationship to the industrial estate at Wandai, the works outstanding there at the time of the report related primarily to a bit of signage that was yet to be completed. The works are largely complete. I think we'll take on notice an opportunity to go and have a look at the areas of concern you raised. I personally wasn't aware of any concerns in relationship, though I'm fully aware of the overlay that we did that, which added some thickness to the pavement. So it is possible that there might need a little bit of work against that shoulder, but given the width of that pavement, it would only be very minor works, in my opinion. But I'll just seek James's and Kevin's guidance in relationship to those. James, first, in relationship to those items we've reported in the Standing Committee report.
Yeah, thanks, Jed and Council. Just to provide a bit of a brief update as per what's detailed in the report as well. Cumbia CBD, it is in the program for design works in the next few months. It will take a little bit of time to undertake this, but we are on track as per our commentary that we had on this item last year. Glendon and Markwell Street roundabout, we've done some preliminary layout plans at this point in time and are interested in going and engaging with adjacent businesses. So we are looking to undertake that consultation in the next couple of days with those businesses between Kingaroy Street and Youngman Street on Markwell, and those on the Glendon Street intersections directly adjacent to those roundabouts as well, because we do have an interest in understanding how some of those businesses have vehicles access their properties and the size of those vehicles as well, because everyone's interests are different along there. We need to cater for them irrespectively. And Coronation Park, we're literally just tidying up the drafting on that item, and we'll simply have that complete in the very near future. And yeah, looking to have that ready for the parks team in due course when a funding opportunity becomes available. So hopefully that provides a bit of insight to our program, but I might hand over to Kev if he can make some comment on Wandai Industrial.
Yeah, thanks, James. Just very briefly, the Black Spot project, Markwell Glendon Street roundabout, it does highlight that we do have a number of projects, TIDS funded projects, Black Spot funded projects that we do have an obligation to still deliver, and that's certainly the intent, albeit we do need to deal with our flood damage as well, and that's something that we're currently looking at, and how we're programming it, and how we're going to resource both areas. In terms of the Wandai Industrial Estate, yeah, just in the report there was note that there's still minor road shoulder works to do, some driveways, line marking and signs still to be completed. So certainly noted, Mr. Mayor, that those shoulders, the edge drop-offs along there, we do need to address. So that's part of the list of final works to do.
Yeah, thanks, Manager. That certainly clarifies that. So in terms of any sort of rough time frame in terms of the Markwell Street roundabout at this stage, just if community members are wanting to know that, is that something we'd see happening by 6 months, 12 months? What sort of time frame do you think would be there roughly?
The expectation is that it's this financial year.
Thank you. And Manager, just in terms of Manager Darcy, the Coronation Park works, is that, sorry, I'll just be confused there, is that the works, please, my apologies, but is that the works in relation to the camping grounds, the car park and stormwater access? Is that those works? I think we had that in a previous budget, but perhaps had to adjust that in terms of timing. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. This is a bit of a hangover from when that decision was made, but we are seeking to just close out that design such that we don't have to pick it up later on in the piece. The amount of time taking in closing this out is very minor, but we just felt it was a good opportunity in between projects. Whilst we do have a number of other things that we still need to complete, it's still a good opportunity to close out some of those large percentage design development that we've done to date, and want to just get them certified and have an opportunity for them to be considered for further funding and delivery in the parks program should that become available.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to also reiterate the comments that have been made here today. Thanks to all the staff that took us on the tour yesterday afternoon with the Queensland Reconstruction Authority, and it was nice to also have former Governor Paul de Jersey come along as well as part of that process. It was certainly very much an insightful process to see the extent of the damage, at least in that northern part of the division. Okay, so we'll go back to Councillor Jones for final comments, and then we'll go to the vote. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick update on and comments around the Blackbutt CBD. As we all know, we went back out to tender, called a new tender, and the results that we seem to have got have been very, very significantly positive in our favour as council and ratepayers in the community. It seems like we've got a very good budgetary outcome, and which will include will ease up on the amount of scope that we have in the project. So, very worthwhile project, and I want to just acknowledge the staff that recommended that. Going back when we first went out to tender, the staff weren't happy, and I back them fully. The results that have come through certainly in the favour of council and the ratepayers. So well done to the staff in regards to the Blackbutt CBD. And as Councillor Shoemaker said, very keen to see it get underway, and the people in Blackbutt are really getting anxious, waiting for the start and the outcome of that. But again, just finishing up, a big well done to all the staff, men, women, inside and out, do a wonderful job. And I get criticised at times for backslapping the staff all the time, but I will not stop doing it, because they're the people that do the work and need the recognition. We're just people that make decisions. They're the people that do the jobs and get the outcome. So I will continue and always support the staff. So well done to the staff.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. If I could just add one comment before we go to the vote. General Manager Brennan, the information which Councillor Jones now has in relation to the project, is that to be able to share with the other councillors? Can we have a report on that, perhaps at the next standing committee meeting, as to the budget for Blackbutt, the timing of that? Clearly, Councillor Jones is aware of that. Can we have that shared with our colleagues, please?
Absolutely, Mayor Otto. As Kevin pointed out, we will be getting final details of the contractors program now that they've been appointed, so we'll be able to give you clarity as the actual date. We'll also be able to confirm the community engagement and the impacted business engagement that we've been able to commence, and the final position in relationship to it. We will give updates at each report to the standing committee as we proceed with that project as well.
Thank you, General Manager. That will be much appreciated. We'll now go to the vote. Those in favour, show of hands if we could. Thank you. Yes, we've got everyone. So that's been carried unanimously. The next item is 6.2, which is page 34. And it's the minutes of the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting, commonly referred to as the TAC. And that was held on Tuesday, the 14th of December, and they're provided as part of the agenda. So the recommendation is that those minutes be noted. The minutes and the recommendations be noted. Do we have a mover? Just get that done. Councillor Shoemaker, second Councillor Henson. Thank you. We'll go the other way this time. Speakers, Councillor Henson, any questions or issues to raise from the minutes of the TAC meeting? Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just on the page 36, just at the top, just wanted to get an update on that, confirm that we're proceeding with that Taylors Road signage, and that council is going to provide the sign for Taylors Road, and DT Mart are providing the sign for the Bunya Highway. Just wanted to know where that's at.
Thanks, General Manager.
Yeah, thanks very much. I will have to defer to James in relationship to that. Yes, we are undertaking it, but James, can you add any further information in relation to timing?
Thanks for the question, Councillor. It was discussed at our December TAC meeting, so this was undertaken in the second week of December. The timeliness was expected to be in the first half of this year. We are due to have another TAC meeting midway through next month, so we may have more information available on this item, probably to the Infrastructure Standing Committee in maybe April. We're a little way off having an accurate date on when this signage would be in place, but TMR are coordinating that at this point in time. But as for Taylors Road itself, that is something that we'll need to coordinate internally. I'm not across when that actual date is proposed for installation right now.
Thank you for the update. Yeah, I think it's just a great outcome for the people of the community to make that road safer from the northern entrance into Kingaroy. I think everybody's really happy to see that it go from 100 back to 80. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Okay, Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had two questions. One was we had an excellent workshop in relation to the heavy vehicle routes around our region and in particular Kingaroy. I just wondered, is that sort of a working agenda item that we expect to be further discussed this year in upcoming meetings? And just in relation to the meeting minutes, further to my question, I just understand there were some preliminary discussions, but yeah, I just want to understand where we're at with that. I don't want to lose that work that's been done. I certainly appreciated the workshop. And just in relation to item 3, the Tabinga State School barber poles on the highway school crossing, I just wanted to understand those concerns a little bit more. It says they're not being utilised in the correct manner, and I'm just so mindful with the increase in traffic in that area. Certainly, I know Harris Road and that intersection is quite problematic, particularly at that time of morning with increased school traffic. And with the construction of Bunnings and, of course, the new pet shop there, I know there's a lot of traffic in that area. So I just, can see that as a priority and just wanted to understand what's meant by the minutes here and what the process forward is. Certainly recognise that, Harris Road is a trunk collector road, as you've stated in the minutes. So any information about those two items would be great. Thank you.
General Manager.
Thank you very much, Mayor Otto. And Councillor Shoemaker, we are awaiting on feedback from the nominated expert looking at a couple of the key items from TMR. To my understanding, there was a break over their Christmas period, but it is something that James and I will be pursuing in February. I'm not aware that they contacted us again in the last little while, but James will correct me on that if that is not the case. And I do have to defer to James in relationship to the function of that school crossing.
Thanks for the question, Councillor. In relation to the heavy vehicle discussions, I can confirm that we have had a meeting with TMR officers this year, and it was a very good meeting. In all honesty, it was online, and we are seeking to progress the heavy vehicle discussions further. There's a number of key nodal points around where our heavy vehicles start and how they commute around Kingaroy and through Kingaroy at this point in time. But it is something that's going to take a little bit of time. We do have some correspondence that we are currently analysing and looking to report back to TMR with some additional content for their consideration. The areas and the roads that we are looking on are under state control, and we are looking to provide a bit of local observation and influence on some of the considerations they may want to put forward. So we're looking at trying to undertake that in the first half of this month, as there is a fair bit to work through. And in relation to the second item on Tabinga State School, there was a query from I believe the road safety officer of TMR just inquiring around the barber poles that are adjacent to Walter Road as you drive in along the Dag Highway there. And the query is in relation to a project that council are undertaking on Railway Terrace. And we didn't have the opportunity to engage with that road safety officer at the meeting. It was a question put through for discussion at the meeting, but unfortunately they weren't there. And it was a little bit difficult to gain context on their concerns. So we elect to delay that back to the March meeting. Hopefully they'll be available to attend and assist us with being able to provide an accurate answer.
Yes, thank you, James. Thanks for the update. Certainly in relation to that Tabinga State School highway crossing, just in those conversations, keen to understand, I know there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes. In areas like Kilcoy, the crossing on the major highway there is quite amazing in terms of improved safety outcomes with the signage. There's electronic signage and road marking, paint on the road, these sorts of things. I guess I'm just keen to understand. I know there's a lot of work in the reconfiguration of roads and things in that area. And the increase in traffic has been noted time and time again, but just keen, to understand that conversation further. And if those barber poles are no longer suitable, what are some of the suitable mechanisms or things that we should be considering, and how do we progress those conversations with DTMR to improve the safety standard there? I know I've been caught myself in front of Tabinga School. It's 40k a school zone. There's that much traffic and things in that area. It's easy to miss that crossing. So I think it is a key priority that I look forward to further update from the March meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Councillor Potter.
Thank you. Look, I'd just like to thank the council team and the councillors for taking the speed limit from Taylor's Road to the TAC meeting, because I myself had so many people ask me about that. So I'm really glad that that's actually being done for the community. Thanks, guys.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment on that Tabinga State School. That was a strange one. Jane, even the police, we all had a bit of a laugh. It was the main road safety officer that raised that, and we couldn't believe that was an issue that was raised. But apparently, to be consistent across their region, that was why it was raised. But certainly, taking on Councillor Shoemaker's points there, that's a very busy little area there, and hopefully with the upgrades to the area there in the coming months, with main roads coming through and doing upgrade works on the intersection and all that sort of stuff, we may be able to do something. If need to be changed, we might be able to incorporate that with the works that they do on the upgrade there as well. Also, I want to acknowledge the work that's been done on the other side in front of Tabinga School with the drainage and all that sort of stuff. We got hammered there a few years back, James, with pools of water and parent drop-offs, and the poor ladies had to stand in puddles of water to get their kids out. I see that that's all been completed, so hopefully they'll certainly appreciate the work that's being done there through that project. Other than that, all good, and we'll continue to take up the fight for the heavy vehicle routes and traffic all through Kingaroy and the South Burnett.
Councillor Froloff.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no more, just the work that's been going ahead with council and main roads, well done. That's all I've got to say at the moment.
Thank you, councillors. Does anyone have any other issues to raise before we wrap up? No? Second opportunity to speak? Okay. Just one thing with General Manager, with Tangerine Bridge, I know this has been something we've discussed quite a bit, and Councillor Jones has been working hard to bring this forward with the department. I was travelling along Commissioner's Flat Road recently at Peachester, and it's got a single lane bridge as well, which is similarly problematic. Wouldn't have the trucks that we have coming down. I don't imagine the volume of trucks we'd have coming down that highway. And they've actually got in their electronic signage, which is solar powered. So it actually flashes. It really stands out and brings to your attention that there's a single lane bridge ahead and that you should slow down. And I'm just wondering whether that's something that could be put on the agenda to be raised at the TAC as to whether the main roads would look at putting something there. I just think that when you're coming down the hill from the Kooyar end, you get speed up, you're coming down that hill, and often you're focused on the road. You don't see those road signs there, and then you get around the corner and hit that give way sign. And I just wonder whether it would be safer to have something, electronic that's flashing that really catches your attention. So could I leave that with the TAC perhaps to raise in the interim at least?
Mayor Otto, we'll take that. Yeah, we'll certainly take that on note, Mayor Otto. Thank you. And I know it's been a project that there's been considerable discussion about, and we're pushing hard to get a resolution of the issue. But in the meantime, that's a good suggestion which we'll take on board.
Thanks, General Manager. Okay, we'll just, Councillor
Yeah.
Shoemaker, any further comments there?
Just one, Mr. Mayor, just that your suggestion there is quite valid and very good idea. So yeah, good suggestion. And I'm sure James will put that in the agenda for the next TAC meeting. Well done.
Thank you, gentlemen. Councillor Shoemaker as mover, any final comments? No, we'll go to the vote then. Everybody, those in favour? Okay, yes, got everyone. That's been carried unanimously. Thank you all. 6.3 is the Advanced Design Program for 22-23, and that's at page 39. We might just get this one up. Do we have a mover that be received? Thanks, Councillor Potter. Second, Councillor Jones. Okay, General Manager, would you like to give us, you or one of your managers, give us a report on that? Thank you very much.
Mayor Otto, I think it's largely as read. I think councils are well aware of the advanced design program, which puts us in a good position as best we can for preparing these projects ahead of time. It's hard with the larger projects to have a 12-month delivery when there's significant design involved. So that's the aim and the objective. This was really a report for your noting. And probably back to you for any questions as a result of it, Mayor Otto.
Thank you, General Manager. We'll go around the room. Councillor Fraloff.
No, I'm all good. No questions here. Thank you.
Councillor Jones.
Thanks, Mayor. Good.
Councillor Potter. Just got a delay in the internet there. We'll move on. Councillor Shoemaker.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, no, sorry, Councillor Potter.
No questions.
You're right. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I just think it's an excellent program, and I look forward to seeing some of the design elements of these projects come through. I think there's a good smattering of different community needs there, and I think they're key projects that really would influence significant change in our region. So, and certainly value the time and effort put in for the TIDS funding and certainly the Works for Queensland funding. So no further questions from me. It's good to have oversight of the program coming up.
Councillor Duff.
Yeah, I agree. There's some good projects, particularly the road widening at Corndale Road, Memorandum. I think with the heavy vehicles to make it safer to access packagery into feedlot is a really good project, and also that gap on the footpath from Bridgman Parade to Ivy Street. So some good projects in there. I'm just keen to see them all advance. So thank you.
Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, fully supportive of this program. It's great to see those 5 points made there, and as Councillor Duff has explained, yeah, the road widening out to the feedlot and, of course, the Cumbia streetscape, a great thing. So, yeah, fully supportive.
Thank you, councillors, and thank you very much, General Manager and your staff, James, Manager Darcy, for bringing that forward. I think we're ready to go to the vote on this. Those in favour? Yes, we've got everybody. Thank you all. Carried unanimously. 6.4 is the Stormwater Drainage Responsibility and Maintenance item at 41, and it is recommended that this report on stormwater drainage responsibility be noted. Do we have someone moving that? Councillor Duff, a seconder. Let's get that up. Councillor Fraloff. Okay, General Manager, might come across to you to provide us, you and your staff to provide us with that report. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Otto. This was a request of one of the councillors, Councillor Duff, I believe, with an aim to again re-clarify where this responsibility lies. It's always difficult for a landowner to understand, the demarcation in relationship to their own driveway, and this is, I suppose, a common situation for all local governments. It's really just a resource to clarify the position in relationship to responsibility for driveways. I think I could leave it at that.
Thank you, General Manager. We'll go to the councillors then. For question, Councillor Henson. Councillor Duff?
Yes, so I raised this because I have had over a long period people not being able to understand why they are responsible for the access and those pipes in their driveways because they believe it's always council's responsibility. But in the former Wandai Shire, council did provide the accesses. And now, so a lot of the questions I get are around from people, ratepayers in Wandai, and I had a request and I had a look at a lady's drainage issue yesterday. She has a pipe that is broken in the middle of her access, and she can't understand why she would have to fix it when she believes that it's council stormwater. And I was explaining to her that in the amalgamated council now, all the driveway part of that stormwater is the responsibility of the landholder. However, the drains leading into and out of those accesses are the responsibility of council. And then she was able to also explain that the council has, in her time as resident of Wandai, never cleaned that drain, and so the water doesn't flow in or out of her pipe. Although it's broken, it doesn't even flow in or out because that drain is blocked up. So the question I'm asking here is: are we responsible for keeping the stormwater drain to those accesses clear? Is that our responsibility? And that was her question as well.
General Manager, thank you.
Through you, Mayor Otto. Yes, Councillor, of course. And if you provide details of that individual location, we'll add it to our maintenance list. In our sealed areas, the table drain maintenance is carried out a lot less frequently, simply because they don't get as much sediment as in our unsealed network, but periodically from time to time, and commonly as because we're in the area, we might even undertake that work in association with reseal activities because we've got suitable equipment in the location. But if there's an issue in relationship to the roadside drainage, in that situation, we'll certainly add it to our customer request list and attend to that maintenance priority. If we could, offline, perhaps we'll get the details of that from you. Thank you.
But just as a follow up with this particular one, it's a grassed drain, and it appears to be not deep enough. So that would be it would be probably a cost to council to actually go and dig it out deeper so that it actually flows into that pipe. So I guess we can talk about that offline, but just get a lot of complaints across the region about us not actually cleaning those drains.
Thank you, Councillor. And it is a really difficult task to do, and I'm sure you'll acknowledge, because we have to take earth-moving equipment to do it. We have to pick the material up, as I'm sure you're suggesting. And in a lot of cases, it's silted up over time and they're mowing it quite comfortably and have got it all nicely mowed. When, of course, we go through in those uncurbed roads, we excavate along the alignment of the stormwater table drain and pick that material up. So at least for a period, it's disturbed. So it's it's difficult to do in an urban environment without disturbing stuff. We have to pick the material up and take it away and leave it as near as possible in a mowable condition when we leave. So it's only required periodically, but it's not a particularly easy task to do. And we do get response from landowners both ways. Someone being impacted by stormwater, which means we must attend to it. And of course, when we do, we tend to disturb the turfed area on their verge in the process. So it's a little difficult to achieve and make everyone happy, but certainly something we need to do.
Thank you. This lady's keen. She's got a beautiful mowed area, but she's getting flooding under her house. So really, she's really keen to have that happen. So I understand what you're saying about disturbing it, because most of those areas are nicely grassed and mowed. So yes, but I think when you've got issues where people are getting water under their house, they're probably prepared to compromise there.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, certainly. Further to Councillor Duff's comments, I completely understand when it comes to urban stormwater. I've had a few instances where the crew have done a great job, cleaned out the gutters, scraped away the grass, made the drainage much better. But I have had phone calls from people with pristine lawns, very disappointed with the job that's been done. And the struggle then in terms of actually mowing back over those rocks. And certainly I know the challenges of growing grass in former red soil cultivation country. You would think it would be easy, but it's rock hard. It's not. I just had a couple of questions. I think the fact sheet's wonderful. Certainly, I know in my first 12 to 18 months of council, I was out on a lot of driveways trying to explain this to people. So it's wonderful to have a resource like this. My question was just in terms of the work that's happening from a customer service review point of view, making sure our customer service team has this information so that when they receive an inquiry, they can, with confidence, speak to these things. I just wanted to understand where that is in train, because I understand there's quite a bit of work happening in that space. And just in relation to the curb and channeling, I know around my division, certainly in Kingaroy, and in the instances where we have heavy rainfall rather quickly, we have got some drains, one in particular that was designed many years ago and does not cope with the stormwater flows. And I've actually got a resident who gets out there with her shovel or gets people in her area to go out when rainfall is bad. We've costed the fix at about $5,000 to $10,000. And certainly I appreciate the team have supported me in going out, and I'm sure they know which area I'm talking about. Just wondering, do we have an urban stormwater program? Because as has been discussed here, I certainly appreciate on those rural unsealed network that we are doing that when we do the gravel resheeting or the grading program. But urban stormwater, I know here in Kingaroy where most of our roads are sealed, certainly in the recent rainfall that we've experienced, we've seen our stormwater hasn't coped in some places. It's been blocked up. And I just wondered, as part of our maintenance strategy or the work that we do we actually just have a focus on urban stormwater, a specific targeted program to go and tackle some of these issues, particularly after rainfall? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I can, and the customer request one I can deal with very quickly. And as far as the fact sheets, so the team across multiple departments has actually been a very good collaboration approach led by General Manager Jarvis's teams and down through Manager Carolyn. There's several of those, so we're preparing to bring to council, which sounds a little bit complicated. We're bringing to council an information report. There's been several that have gone through, so the staff have worked with the information owner. I'm just looking for probably the right terms, but the departments and the areas responsible. So they've gone back and forwards. I've seen a batch of them that have come through. I send them back. So they've been through about 2 or 3 checks. So the first wad of them are coming through the sausage machine pipeline. So it's very much the intention, because it will be for information, because these will be going through. So as they've gone through their final checks, they've gone back to I'd call it the asset owner, but the information owner, and then they'll be published on the website. So there'll be an information report coming. I don't even think it's actually been presented to the total management group yet, but there will be certainly, if not the end of this month, very much early next month, on the ones that have been through the sausage machine and are coming out. And that one's up until this point in draft, and so it's going to go backwards and forwards between a couple of its checks. But yeah, there'll be an information report, and it took us a little while to get started as far as working out a process, but I would acknowledge General Manager Jarvis and Manager Knudsen, because their team have been working with the various departments. There's been a couple sent back because they were when they came through me, they're complicated to read. Not that they were wrong, but it's very easy because we all use the technobabble depending on our sections and technical terms. So they've been looked through a lens of, is the information correct? But also, if I'm an average person, one of the ones, without getting too in depth, as cemeteries, is having referenced several forms, having the live link, because it'll be on the website, embedded so that the actual forms can be, so you can click on the link in their fact sheet and it'll take yourself. If I'm home and I'm preparing and I need to download the information, I can go dump. Here's all the forms. Here's the information. Here's the fact sheet. So be here very shortly, and it'll be information for you guys just to let you know the ones that are coming through.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you, General Manager. Okay, well, anything further, Councillor Schumacher? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, thank you, CEO Mark. Just in terms of that urban stormwater program, do we have a specific focus on that, or is there any further context you can provide in relation to those issues? General Manager Jed or Kevin?
Yep.
Thank you, General Manager.
Otto, through you. It is not at a program level, and Kev will add to this, but certainly all drainage does fit under that sealed road pavement maintenance area, and we, I suppose, include that at a budget level. At a high level, we include allocations within that general area. So that's where you'd see it in your program. It falls within the sealed road pavement rehabilitation sealed works from a capital sense. So the example that you gave, if it's a capital project, that's where we'd fund it. Kev, there is a breakup below that, so there is an allocation towards it, but it's not as a separate asset class in itself.
That's correct, Jed. And typically what particularly in the urban stormwater, where we find we do have a fairly old system, and quite often we find that it's the curve inlets, the older style curve inlets with a small area for letting the water in. We find that they are the bottleneck, so to speak. So where we're aware of particular issues, we will take that and put that as part of our budget deliberation. So the one that Councillor Schumacher was referring to, we're aware of that, and that will make its way into the 22-23 budget deliberations.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I was just trying to understand. I know often in Division 4, if we get a downfall of rain rather quickly, because Kingaroy, I'd never realised how much of a hill it really is built on. Often you don't know about those stormwater drainage problems until it is a problem, and people are experiencing inundation on their private properties. So, yeah, I think I look forward to, in the budget discussions, I think there is an opportunity for council to look at that and the way we're doing that, and see if there's another way, because unfortunately I certainly hear about it when they're all blocked, and normally the person on the other end isn't very happy. So, and I reported a number of them in these last couple of days, deluges on major roads that I had driven. So I think it's an important area that we will have to consider in the next budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Manager. Okay, we're up to Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, in Division 3, very similar to Councillor Schumacher's issues, there's quite a few driveways that we have an issue with, but there's one particular driveway I've got in mind that we've sent them a sheet with different driveway types, and they've built one of those driveways, but we didn't actually tell them that their driveway needed a drain in. So, the stormwater drain, we don't actually go and check some of their driveways when they're building them. So I'm just wondering what happens in that case when they do their driveway, but they weren't informed that they actually needed that pipe in there to stop the water from flooding and or pooling up.
Thank you, General Manager.
Mayor Otto and Councillor Potter, that's a bit of a difficult one, because our approach has been, that we provide the info and don't have a strongly controlled process. Perhaps the more urbanised councils generally provide a sort of a regulated process in relationship to it. I think we'd probably all agree that that would be a bit onerous for the South Burnett. And where I've got experience, it is a pretty serious process, and one that an individual landowner would be hard pressed to be able to go through without professional assistance, traffic control, qualified contractors, and potentially design from civil services. So perhaps in this circumstance, I'm not aware that we have a lot of issues, but I think we might be better to deal with a specific issue as best we can, in the odd case that it occurs. So there's the two options that I consider, our process where we provide the best information we can. If you could provide that, I take it we haven't dealt with this issue yet, and if not, then we might talk to you offline and get the details and see what we can do to assist, I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. This has been an ongoing issue ever since I've been involved in council driveways and all that. And then I'm just interested to hear the conversations around drainage and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to discuss and put budgetary items up, I can spend about $250,000 to $500,000 just in Blackbutt alone. There's roads in the John, Crofton, Fern, George, Pine and Morris streets that all have driveway flooding issues, water under houses, all that. It's been going on for quite a number of years. River Road in Kingaroy has some serious issues that we're just about to address again. There's some businesses there with driveway and flooding concerns. So, look, again, it's a sleeping giant. You can throw millions at this and only touch the surface on driveway and drainage issues right across, not just in rural, and you take it across the whole area, residential and rural. It's a massive problem. Yes, and people do think that it's council's responsibility, and as Councillor Duff acknowledged back in Wandai's day, they probably did do the driveways, but things have changed, and since amalgamation, it's no longer council's responsibility. If there's an issue on council property or council land that is causing the flooding on those driveways, I believe that council staff in the past and will continue to work with the people concerned with their issues and work to fix the problem. But yeah, this is a problem that's been around for years, way before I got into council, and I think it'll be still an issue long after I'm finished in council. So yeah, if you once you start talking about having budgets and all that sort of stuff put away for residential drainage issues and all that, I'm sure each individual councillor could spend $500,000 without even blinking. So something that we're going to have to address moving forward. Budgetary conversations, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Froloff.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I totally agree with Councillor Jones. Even in Nanango, we've got a heap of issues with drainage and property owners, and yeah, you could just about do the same $500,000 to fix up all our issues. But I totally agree with everyone's expression here. It is an issue, and we just need the money to try and fix it, which we don't have at the moment with all the fags and everything that's been depleted, and all the money from the government is getting smaller and smaller. So it's an issue that I don't know how we're going to rectify. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Just before we go back to Councillor Duff for right of reply, if anyone's got any further to say, please let us know. Otherwise, look, I just want to congratulate the staff on bringing forward the draft driveway property access fact sheet. I think that's a really great initiative in terms of educating the community, informing the community, communicating to the community about what council's policy position on this is and about what their options are. And I like that there's the link in there to the permit to work on council roads or footpaths, just in terms of the issue that was raised around putting the drain pipes in, as Councillor Potter spoke about. Is it possible, General Manager, that when we do actually assess those permit applications, and we probably do this already, but we can reiterate with those residents the importance of putting in a drain pipe. I know it's costly to have to get in excavators and sometimes traffic control, but whether that can be done as part of the that permit approval process, maybe we can put a little bit more emphasis on that. Just a suggestion, I guess, at this stage. Yeah. The other thing was, of course, yeah, sorry. Thanks, General Manager. But be looking forward to this coming.
Absolutely, Mayor Otto, thank you.
Yeah, look forward to see this fact sheet finalised and signed off and approved, and we can get it out to the community, and councillors can have them so that we can hand them out to people that raise issues with us. That'd be great. I guess in terms of our urban uncurbed program, and it is in every town across the region, as councillors have shared across their divisions, and Banarkin's another example. I'm sure Councillor Jones could tell you plenty of cases in Banarkin where people haven't got curb and channeling and their yards get flooded. Some of them can't even get into their house, into their properties when it rains. We seem to be living in a period of drought and floods. So when the rain comes, it tends to be a lot heavier these days. So whether we can look at some sort of a long-term prioritised list of uncurbed areas, I don't think we're going to be able to afford to curb and channel them. But whether we can, have a renewal program where we can actually, Jed, start to clean out some of the silting in some of those to try and get that little bit more depth in those table drains. And as Councillor Jones said, that's going to be a long-term program because it'll take years to work through that. But if we could make a small start, it might be something we could consider as one of your planning initiatives. And the other thing is that to communicate with the residents. I think from what I've seen cases where council staff have actually gone and talked to the residents and then done the work in collaboration with the resident. Let them know we'll be ripping up all of your grass because we've got to deepen your drain. And I've seen that actually work really well. I've seen some really happy residents where they've actually worked with the council. Some of them actually went and got some new turf and put down and maintained it. So I think where there's that communication and collaboration with the residents living in front of those drains, it's worked really well. So if we can continue to do that good work and keep talking to the property owners when we are going to be digging up the table drain out the front of their property, that's been great, Jed. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, Councillor Duff, anything to wrap up with before we go to the vote?
Thank you. Yes, I've just as part of our customer service, it would be great when we do our customer requests if we could, as Mayor Otto said about this fact sheet, if that could be included in the response to the customer, perhaps if you have the email address or postal address to send them the access fact sheet, but also a link to that permit works on council roads or footpath, because that lady in Wandai, she had no idea that it was her responsibility, let alone that she needed to get a permit to work on council roads or footpaths. So it'd be great if we could provide that as part of our customer service as well. So, but yeah, thank you for all of this information, and yeah, I'm keen to get this fact sheet out and let I think it's going to answer a lot of questions for a lot of residents who are confused about what they need to do. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Duff. Yeah, and on behalf of Council, General Manager, you and your staff, thanks very much for bringing this forward. I think this is a really positive initiative in communicating this policy to the community. So, yeah, thanks again. Okay, well, we'll go to the vote on this one. Those in favour? Carried. Councillor Frail, I've just got a bit of delay in the computer. Yep, we've got everyone. Thank you. That's been carried unanimously. Okay, we'll keep moving on. 6.5 is the Kingaroy Barron Down Road single lane sealed section. That's at page 44. We don't have a recommendation at this stage, but if I could just talk to this quickly, then I'm happy to put forward a recommendation, a motion on this one. I did send photos in. I know we've got these state-controlled roads. We've got Mundubbera-Geelong, we've got Boyee Road, we've got Kingaroy Barkers, where we have these problematic single-lane sections. And Kingaroy, this actual Kingaroy Barron Down single-lane section is one of those where it's been diverting a lot of traffic, I'm told, by residents out there back along River Road, which is a council road, causing us higher maintenance costs on our local road. And I know that Manager Searles are well aware of the issues on River Road. So what I'm keen to do here, subject to advice from our managers and Councillor Jones, is looking at putting up a process whereby we can actually advocate to get this on the Q trip. And I don't know what the process is for that, but I'd like to put forward a motion around advocating to DTMR to get this road on Q trip for that single lane section to be widened out to double lanes. So before I put a motion up, I'm probably keen to hear some discussion around that. So I might just go, first of all, General Manager Brennan, and to your officers as to what the process may be, and Councillor Jones may be able to contribute some experience and some knowledge on this one as well. Thank you all. Can we start with you, General Manager Brennan? Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much, Mayor Otto. There is significant history, obviously, in the development of, I suppose, our prioritised program of works, which we present through the Regional Road Group. Our Deputy Mayor is chair on that, and I would defer in regards to the history of this particular road to him and to James, if I may.
Yeah, have we got you there, James? Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just had a technical issue. Thanks, Jed and Mayor. Kingaroy Barron Down Road has been a single lane seal for a fair while, in all honesty, and as you've quite rightly identified, it probably has been getting some gradually increased traffic over a period of time. There's very few mechanisms we can actually access funding under Kingaroy Barron Down Road, with it being a state-controlled LARS road, LARS being a local road of regional significance. It would be able to be applied for through the RRTG. That would be in competition with council's LARS roads as well for the same bucket of money. So there would need to be probably a bit of a prioritisation process and understanding the desires of council collectively across the local road and the lower order state controlled network in order to try and get some strategic alignment of projects. That way we can work with TMR in a prioritised way of working with them on delivering a Q trip that's going to support their needs as much of ours. So there is avenues to advocate, that's for sure, but it is a challenging one, but I'm open to others' opinions on this as well.
Thank you, Manager Darcy. Before we go around to all the councillors, Councillor Jones, would you like to add your knowledge to this? Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you very much. Look, you can add this to the list of Mem, Gordon Brook, Memorandum Barkers and Kingaroy Barkers and Blackbutt Crow's Nest, high traffic roads that have had that nasty little bit of one-lane bitumen road. Now, you may have recall me speaking. I believe that the one-lane bitumen road is the most dangerous road to drive on, and if you're travelling along, it has the potential to be the most dangerous road that you will travel. So, look, it has been. It's a good point. It's always it's a heavy trafficable road. Councillor Henson would know more than what I would. He drives that road, I think, nearly every day. So, but you're dead right. A significant issue, along with, as I said, on that northern side of Kingaroy and your Memorandum Gordon Brook, Memorandum Barkers, and your Kingaroy Barkers. They're roads that we'll certainly keep fighting for, and talking to the Main Roads Department, and especially with the RRTG now, hopefully being the chair of that now, and not that that's going to certainly give us any advantage, but I'll certainly be able to talk to a lot more people that may be able to help us in the future. So we'll continue the good fight there, along with James and the support of James and Jed and the likes of the staff. So more than happy to take up that fight and fully supportive of this recommendation. So keeping in mind that it is one of many in our region. Even you go up to the road coming in off Mundubra Geelong, you start coming along there, Wandai, Proston, Wandai Road, all that sort of stuff, those areas. So we've got them all over our region, but fully support this one as if you want to bring it forward, and certainly add it to the list of working towards an outcome with the main roads.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Just in terms of recommendation to you gentlemen, would it be possible to maybe just have a recommendation that a report be brought to a future standing committee meeting as to priority LARS roads for our region, so that all councillors could look at that list, we could consider it, we could have some discussion with the staff around that as to what that list should look like. So Councillor Jones has got that to advocate for with the RRTG moving forward. I'm happy to leave it at that at this stage because what I'm hearing from you gentlemen is that there's a big list. It's not just this road, it's many others. Yeah.
Mayor Otto, yes, I'm sure. Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
No, you're right, Jen. You go.
I was going to say, Mayor Otto, we have. It's probably time for us to bring a briefing back to council on our regional road group position. I know James has diligently done so, and even recently with the nomination of additional projects for consideration of the road group. That was, relatively late last year, but I think we could bring you back a summary position, which again recaps the information we provided you at the beginning of the term about the roads, the individual statements of intent and their relative perceived priorities, our own position on that, and indeed the capital works which are currently approved, building up upon that local road of regional significance networks. So it's a matter of recapping for you, I think, information, but putting it all in perspective so that you can see all those various priorities which have got to get considered. And just like our own capital priorities, the regional road group does the same thing. Look at the strategic importance of the road and its needs, and comes up with a program. So that might be of some assistance in deciding the next step in relationship to any individual one that's not currently listed for works.
Thank you, General Manager. Would if we were to suggest the May, I know I'm aware that you've got a lot of work on at the moment with these flood damage. 3 months, the May Standing Committee meeting, would that be unreasonable, achievable?
Yeah, not at all unreasonable, Mayor Otto. It'll be a summary of information that we previously provided, recapping. So no, May Standing Committee would be great. Thank you very much for the consideration there.
Yes, thank you, General Manager. So I'll now move, as presented on screen, that motion. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Jones, thank you. Okay, well, let's now go to our councillors. Councillor Froeloff, first of all.
No, I'm all good. Thank you, Mayor. No questions.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just a quick one. Like I said, fully supportive of the recommendation there. Just want to bring to your attention, the council chamber attention, the Blackbutt Crow's Nest Road, the Toowoomba Shire, pretty much underway with the remainder of the Blackbutt Crow's Nest Road in their area, bring it into a beautiful 2-lane road all the way sealed from Crow's Nest to our boundary. And we have a section of approximately 200 to 300 metres between where they will end and the finish of our bitumen road, even though it is a single, up there where it will join is a pretty fair stretch of bitumen, but it does come down onto a single lane bitumen past Boydle's avocado farm and then joins on to where we finished on top of the hill there at the Valley Straight. So it has the potential to be a very similar situation to the Mundubbera-Geelong Road, where nice highway coming in right at the South Burnett boundary, then we go down to a one-lane bitumen or a much lower road service than what we've got. So just alerting you to the fact that Toowoomba, I think by the end of the financial year, they will come to their boundary with a beautiful seal, and we'll have dirt from there to connect us to a one-lane bitumen. But Blackbutt Crow's Nest, that section there is in, what's that program in, Jed? You'll be able to help me. There's that many bloody abbreviations. What's the one funding that we've got that highlighted on?
To you, Deputy Mayor, that would be the TIDS funding through the RRTG.
Yeah, thanks, James. So there was discussions prior to this term, Mr. Mayor, that we had with Toowoomba that there may be a possibility that we could have worked a bit of a deal out. But in the situation that we are at the moment, it certainly puts some pressure around budgetary restraints and all that. But we were talking with Toowoomba when they come through to their boundary that they may extend the extra 200 metres to hook onto the end of our sealed section. Whether or not that's still a possibility in this current situation that our council finds itself, I don't know. So just wanted to highlight that, but that's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Potter?
No issues with that one, except I'm just wondering whether, especially with the Barron Down Road, so this is going to cover that section sort of closer near the golf course area as well? It's not further out as well? Or is it right through?
I think it's the intention is to look at the single lane right through. So wherever there's a single lane, that would be picked up. I'd imagine James would pick that up as part of his planning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Schumacher.
Yes, thank you. Fully support the recommendation. I just probably would like to, as part of that, I don't know whether we need to include it in the recommendation, but would like to review those statements of intent for the priority roads, just so that we're all clear on the strategic importance of all of the roads of our region. And as Councillor Jones has said, if there are other projects, look to how we can leverage those. So yeah, I'd really like to review the actual statements of intent that we've got for those priority roads that have been identified.
General Manager, is that something we can be picked up as part of that report and provided so that those statements of intent could be reviewed?
Righto, it was my intent that we'd provide a summary back. James might have his jet dial out at the moment, but I think it'd be a good time to reiterate some of those, some of the background to that, and just recap it because it's not something that we bring before you all the time. James, that would be your expectation.
Yes, thanks, Jed. I would probably nearly recommend to council that the quantity of information is going to be quite significant here, and we may need to have a standalone workshop on this. I probably need to state it pretty clearly that there is a huge amount of material in the background on this, and I just want to try and give it justice to help council interpret what we have, and I'd like to probably recommend a future workshop if available, and then we can probably bring it back to a standing committee for any further discussion, if that's okay.
Thanks, James. Yeah, in light of that advice, I'm happy to change the motion that a workshop be held during May in relation to priority large roads. I know that's going to be problematic because we're going to have the budget cycle happening there, Mr. CEO. But if we could squeeze in a workshop for a couple of hours, that would be appreciated, and then we can look to where we go from there, I guess. Is everyone comfortable with that? It gives us a bit more time to review it and discuss it, and give James an opportunity to brief us more fully. It might be just a bit rushed at a standing committee meeting. Yeah. Anyone object to that change? Comfortable with that? Councillor Jones, are you comfortable with that? We did as a workshop.
Yeah, 100%, Mr. Mayor, because as James just highlighted, and he done a better job than what I was trying to achieve, that we have significant amount of one-lane bitumen roads right through our whole region, and you get up into the north, into Councillor Duff's area and Councillor Henson's and everywhere else, and just on the edge of town in Kingaroy and the surrounds and Ananga, all that's it. There is an enormous amount, but yeah, good idea. Workshop needed.
Thank you. Comfortable with that, Councillor Schumacher, in terms of those statements of intent? Thank you. We'll move on. Councillor Henson, I'm sure, has got plenty to offer on this one. Councillor Henson, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I'd like to fully supportive of this, and it absolutely astounds me with these state roads. We talk about in Councillor Duff's area, that road that comes in off the Mundubbera Geelong Road into Proston, which is a heavy trafficable, and just, we go from double lane bitumen into a single lane goat track, and that's what they are. They're disgraceful. Memorandum Gordon Book one is the same, and we have a single lane bridge on that road that is extremely dangerous. This Barron Down Road, it's the same thing. It's highly trafficable, as they all are, and we have a numerous amount. This workshop I really look forward to. I remember seeing a map some time ago and I've spoken to some of our general managers in time. It was an incredible map. And it was obviously dated back some time. Councillor Duffy might be able to assist in where that once came from, but I haven't been able to locate it since. But I think one of my neighbours might be able to assist me in that. And it was an extremely interesting document and a map in the state roads. And I don't think a lot of our residents aren't aware of just how many state roads we have in our shire. And it's frustrating, and Councillor Jones, I know only too well, and the team in working with state-controlled roads and what we can and what we can't do, or what we can't seem to achieve. But when you look at the Barron Down Road, and it's just one example, and out in your division, Councillor Duff, but they're everywhere. I think we could advocate very hard to work and try and get something happening on these. And if we get a workshop going, I think we can. I don't know whether prioritise is the right word, because they all need some work doing on them in some shape or form, and we know what amount of money that would lead to. But I think it's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Duff.
Yes, I agree with what everyone said. The issue about not prioritising them is we're lobbying in a lot of cases for state control roads for funding, and unless we prioritise, we're asking for the state or currently we've got the federal election coming up. We've got the marginal seat of Flynn, and we need to be able to prioritise roads even in that section, just to say, so we can hook in and try and get at least one up. But we've got that Baillie Road in Division 5, it's sad to see it, got the beautiful new double lane, and then you come to the single lane, and there's another wide piece and single lane. And then I know even the Proston-Banduma Road, Smithfield Feedlot have been trying for years to get that upgraded so that they don't have to decouple when they're putting their B doubles along there for their feedlot. So there's just so many roads in our region that are just neglected. They're single lane bitumen roads. So I'm keen to see the workshop, but I definitely think we need to start to look at priorities, because we need to be able to, when we've got a marginal seat or we've got a federal election, and we can lobby for particular roads, because it's too hard there's too many to just spread it everywhere. So if we could prioritise and just at least try and tick a box for one road here and there, I think is probably what we need to do.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Probably my closing comments and hearing what everyone's saying is that this is a large issue right across our region. I'm not sure where you start, James, in prioritising which roads ahead of others, but that'll be challenging, I imagine, for you. But look, I'd also like to see, once we have the workshop and we get some understanding, that we actually reach out to the department, the minister's office, heads of the department to come and actually. And I know Councillor Jones and I have talked about this before, actually get some people up here and take them on a tour and show them the condition of these single lane roads that our industry and our residents have to travel on every day. I don't know if that'll make any difference, but yeah, I'd like to see us become more active in bringing this to the attention of the current Queensland government and the department. I know Councillor Jones has had discussions on this many and many times. In the RRTG, and also with heads of DTMR at senior levels. So I'd like to see us jump in and support that. Really push this issue in months to come. So did anyone else want to add anything further before we wrap this one up? If not, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you all. I think I've got Councillor Froeloff there, yeah. Okay, so we'll move on now to 6.6 Lenigan Road. Dust issue at page 46, and I suspect this is going to be a similar discussion as to where you start and where you end with all these gravel roads and the dust problem. But we've got a recommendation there that the information today be noted and the report be brought back to the March Standing Committee. I'm just wondering, General Manager, whether that's enough time or whether you want to push that back out to April. Be guided by you. I'm just very conscious of asking for these reports, but I know you fellas have got so much on your plate with the flood works. Happy to see that go out to April. What are your thoughts there, Jed?
Mayor Otto, we would be happy either way in relationship to this. We always are very grateful for your consideration, because when we push it out 1 month, and then we have, we are on the wood then to have it prepared fairly soon when it's only the month ahead, as you know. But in this particular case, it's got a long history, was subject to petitions and other things, and it has been considered in capital works budget considerations in prior years, as late as last year, which means it will automatically be again considered in your capital budget process that's right before you now. So happy to provide that May report. The timing of that April report, the timing of that might just about coincide with your consideration of that actual priority, along with all your other priorities in your capital works considerations for the budget. So that's basically where it sits. We can we can get it together if you wish, and it will come back before you automatically. Because it was in last year's budgetary considerations for capital, and will be there again for you. So really in your hands, Mayor Otto.
Thanks, General Manager. That's good to hear that this road will come forward in the capital budget considerations this year again. Obviously, you'll have a lot of data, a lot of work already done on this from historically. So I might just go to Councillor Fryloff on this and see what your thoughts are, Ros. I know you've been advocating for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. A fair few of the residents of Lanigan Road have approached me. There is a dust issue, but there is also a dust issue out a heap other roads in Nanango. Like I've been also batting for Rifle Range Road and Burt Road, and also Brights Road, and that with also the issues. I know they'd like to have their road sealed and that, but I can't see at the moment that that's going to happen down the track. In 2016, council did try dust thing called snake oil on that road. It did work for a little while, but then the dust comes back. So yeah, this is one of many roads that I've got in my area that people would love to see it sealed or have some dust suppression on it. But this is one of many in my area. Thank you.
Thanks, Ros. I just, in light of that subject, that those comments, we might just change that to April, if that's okay, Ros, with you. You're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jed.
Yep.
Ros, thank you. Okay.
Definitely.
Well, so we've got that there. We've got a mover for that. I think Ros is probably going to put a hand up. I'm just waiting for it. Yeah, so Councillor Fryloff. Do we have a seconder? Seconder there. Yep, Councillor Potter, thank you. So we'll go in the room. Now, Ros, we've got that comments from you. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, Councillor Fryloff again nailed it with the comments around, as you highlighted before. It's a conversation exactly the same as what we've just had over one-lane bitumen roads. I can name 3 or 4 roads straight off the top of my head before I even think, and I'm sure the other councillors sitting in the chamber there and on computer today will be able to do the same. So this is an enormous problem, and and without sounding heartless or whatever, people go out into the community, they come and they select their 5-acre block, they buy on a dirt road, and then they expect the dirt road to turn to bitumen overnight. Well, it's an unfortunate thing that with our council, we do not have the budget to be able to give everybody their wishes. So, and I'm happy to take the flak, and I've copped the flak before throughout the community in making those comments. But we do, I'd refer back to General Manager Jed or Kev Searle, the manager there, in regards to trying any dust suppressants into the future or currently. I know that there was a little bit of a test there not long ago, whether or not that was that worked or whatever. More than happy to look into dust suppressant, but turning rural roads in a perfect world and a budget that had a bottomless bucket of money, I would certainly be saying, yep, let's go ahead and seal these roads. But as we know, a dirt road is cheaper to maintain than what a sealed road is. So it's a catch-22, but yeah, my comments around this is exactly the same as the last item on the agenda. Significant problem, and in a perfect world, I'd love to be able to seal everybody's road, but I'm honest and I'm not hiding behind the fence here. We just haven't got the budgetary allocation to do that.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. General Manager, we won't press you today on this, but so the report's ready to come forward with where the technology's at with dust suppression. So we'll give you appropriate time to do that research with you and your team, and look forward to that coming back in April. Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Jones. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think it'd be great to actually see that report and where it's at with regards to, you know, how far forward we've come with dust suppression. But also another road would be Myers Road, because that's fairly close to town, and we do have a lot of issues with Myers Road as well. So, as I said, you know, as Councillor Jones said quite rightly earlier, that we've all got roads in our divisions that we'd love to see work done to. And look, I'd love to see some more bitumen in Division 4, but I mean in Division 3. But I think that's something that we, as Councillor Jones said, we just don't have the budget for.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, I certainly won't dispute taking some of your bitumen in Division 4, Councillor Potter, from Division 3. I just wanted to ask a question. It's I understand with this issue and with upgrading roads from dirt to a sealed standard, the value of the road actually increases. So that is a challenge from a depreciation point of view, and we're currently in a position where we're not fully funding our depreciation, so we're already challenged by having enough funds to spread across our assets already. So I just wanted to understand, you know, with projects like this, like we've all listed off a number of roads, and there are a number of dust issues, you know, it's my understanding that sealed renewals don't impact depreciation, and we've had many conversations before. I know, Mayor Otto, you've brought it up many times before, how from a financial point of view, the focus really does need to be on sealed renewals, not necessarily building new infrastructure. So just want to understand, like, whilst I support having further workshops and discussions, I know we've had community engagement days, this road and many of the roads that other councillors have listed off this morning have been brought to our attention by residents of the region, and I certainly empathise with them in terms of the dust issues. But I am, just so mindful at the end of the day, we've got to balance our budget and to use the resources we have wisely. So my concern is we could have all these conversations, but do we actually have a policy where we say every year we're going to actually upgrade X amount of kilometres of road, and we acknowledge that's going to hit our depreciation, or do we just actually keep sort of hobbling along until an opportunity presents itself? Like, I know the work with DTMR is wonderful. I know we've got a lot of high order roads that connect their network, and you know, I know it's great that we advocate for them. Those Lars roads, as discussed in the previous point, but in relation to this issue, I'm just very mindful of the conversations we've all had around balancing the budget. And at the moment, our budget, whilst we are making great progress, we are still not funding all of our roads depreciation. So I just probably want to understand from Manager Brennan's point of view in the experience that you've got in this area, you know, how are other councils, or how do they manage this? Because I'm mindful we upgrade a road to a sealed standard, that impacts our bottom line to a degree where we don't necessarily have the funds to maintain that road. And that's my concern.
General Manager, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Otto, through you. I suppose this is very simply put, this is where we bring in whole of life cost. Whenever we build new capital or we add capital value to an existing asset, we increase our depreciation. So I suppose average depreciation on an asset where we have capital renewal input like resales maintains a relatively level depreciation rate, although revaluation processes over time increase that. And we just need to be really, really careful. So in other local government areas, they tend to place some level of capital allocation towards new assets in each class, roads being one of them. But process is very, very similar to the one that councils just adopted in terms of prioritisation, are used to, I suppose, align themselves with renewals for a start, and secondly, to those things that most closely align with your strategic objectives as laid out in your corporate plan. So I think it's kind of as simple as that from a philosophy point of view, but of course the crunch comes then when you've got that list of hundreds of competing priorities across multiple asset classes that you've got to consider. So it's a tough job, and you only have limited capital funds, and you've got a weather eye on what that's doing to your depreciation and your ultimate operational costs. So it's a bit of a tough one. We've got to prioritise, and we're only going to pick the cream right off the top of the list. It's just a fact that's common to all local government areas. If you talk to your colleagues on the coast, and I know I've had discussions with my general manager colleague at the Sunshine Coast at the time. They had nearly 1,000 k's of unsealed road, which you'd find hard to believe. And their prioritisation towards them is exactly the same process as this council's. It's a hard gig to be able to fund new capital works, and it's only the highest priority that attract those funds and the ultimate increase in depreciation.
Just further to that, a supplementary question, we have done some great work with that prioritisation tool. Just wondering, the roads that have been listed off here today, Lanigan's, Rifle Range, Burt Road, Bright Road, and Myers Road, is it possible in that report, to actually do a bit of a case study with this prioritisation tool and actually go through this long list of roads and dust issues that we have and identify what is council's highest priority need? I would feel that would be a more productive conversation than kind of just revisiting the long history there is in relation to Lanigan Road, and it may actually help us find a direction forward, which I think all councillors agree that's what we need in this space. We need a specific position for council looking ahead that says we can identify these key roads, and yes, there are issues with these, and we would like to see, a program where we can strategically balance the budget with the needs of the community.
Oh, yes, thank you, Councillor. General Manager, I just, when I brought this matter to council, it was really just into giving us an update on where the technology's at with dust mitigation. So it wasn't my intention to bring forward, to start a process of actually having to seal roads. It was more just to say, is there options with dust mitigation? Is there something that's better than snake oil that's come out in the market in recent times that could be effective in terms of annual application or something? So that was the scope of this report. But if you look, and that was what I put there in the background. So, but if we wanted to extend it to a deeper look at what our actual long-term strategic commitment would be to these roads, I mean, I'm happy to have that extended out beyond just dust mitigation, if you think that's appropriate, General Manager.
Mayor Otto, through you, it's a great discussion, and we certainly, Kev's team will certainly focus on later, the current advice in relation to dust suppression, not to raise your expectations too much. The more expensive the treatment, the more effective the outcome. The more effective the treatment, the closer you get to a sealed surface. So you very much find yourself looking at, well, if we want something to work well, we're actually going to seal it. So, but Kev's team will pull together some current advice. There have been really extensive trials which have been done in some local government areas that have been done by the local governments, which we would rely upon. Some of the information from the suppliers probably would not reflect a longer-term maintenance perspective that a council would view. So very happy to focus on that report as you suggested. In relationship to the conversation, Councillor Shoemaker, that you started in relationship to I suppose dust seals or prioritisation of that sort of work, I think that's appropriate as part of your capital deliberation. And I know that we're going to have multiple workshops in that space, because it's going to come back to two things in my mind, and James may wish to add to it, or the CEO. But the first point is the merit of an individual dust-related issue is going to depend on traffic and the number of properties impacted, the gravel in the area, or the locally available gravel that we're using and its dust issues, and other issues such as heavy vehicles, speed, etc. What's a parallel discussion that you can't do in isolation without considering the whole capital budget is, does council wish to identify a certain amount of funding out of its capital bucket annually to go towards these sorts of projects? You may consider we will do some level of work, even though the priority of that class of project may not be comparable. You could do a program and have an allocation of capital funds which you expend fully on asset renewal works. But it would be a very, I suppose, normal consideration for council to think, well, we need to put some capital funds towards new work, and what are the priorities there? So in answer, Councillor Shoemaker, I really think that you need to look at your larger list. There will be a subset of those that are dust related, and I think the council should consider their whole priorities, and then perhaps an allocation of a certain amount of budget towards the highest priorities of that particular problem may be a way to go. You could alternatively look at it and go, we just can't deal with these dust-related issues. We've got safety-related issues. We've got high-priority strategic issues, or indeed we've got capital calls. There's call on our capital budget in other infrastructure areas. So I think it's what I'm recommending to you, Mayor Otto and Council, is that perhaps that consideration of this class of problem would be done as part of your consideration of your overall road priorities, road infrastructure priorities, and whether or not you wish to petition a small proportion of your capital budgets for this sort of problem, or indeed whether you consider priorities as they're ranked. That's certainly going to be part of your consideration, I'm sure.
Thank you, General Manager. So you'd lead us through that process as part of the capital works considerations in the budget process for this class of asset. We can confirm you do that.
I think that would be, yes, Mayor, I think that would be the more effective way to do it, because if we deal with it in isolation, we could come up with, some comparable prioritised figures in a subset, but then we consider them in the whole. We might say, well, we're not going to fund that subset, or we're going to put more money towards that subset of assets. So I think considering it as a whole, we may have a couple of workshops involved, but I think that would be the way. There's numerous roads that have been raised, some of which have been considered at times for external funding program, that are all going to be part of this mix. So it would be my recommendation, yes, that we do it that way.
Thank you, General Manager. We'll keep going. I think we're up, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just concerned we've got so many potholes around the region, and so many roads that need resealing, that it's just asking the staff to spend time on something that I think at this point we haven't got our house in order to move on to actually bitumen upgrade. I was of the belief this was just about some snake oil or something that was just going to be dust mitigation, not actually looking to to actually unseal roads at this point. So just a bit concerned about where our priorities should be right now, given the number of potholes and reseals that we've identified across the region so far.
Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, everybody's got their opinions on this, and we're all pretty much on the same page. But I think the potholes will be being looked after in their own right. This is Lanigan's Road, and the recommendation be brought back to the standing committee. I look forward to that report, and I think, like several councillors have said, we've all got plenty of roads in our divisions that will come under the same umbrella. So probably got a little bit sidetracked here along the way, but yeah, fully supportive of this coming back to a standing committee. And as Councillor Froeloff has said, this has been in the pipeline for some time, and we've all got them in our divisions. So look forward to progress on this.
Thanks, Councillor Henson. Councillor Froeloff, we'll go back to you as the mover of the motion. Any final comments before we go to the vote?
No, Mayor. I'm all good. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's go to the vote. Show of hands, those in favour? Yep. Okay, yes. We've got you, Ros. Got everybody? Yep,
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you all. 7.1 is at page 47, and I'd now like to welcome Councillor Froeloff to present her local disaster management, water and wastewater portfolio report. Thank you, Councillor Froeloff.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Local Disaster Management Group update. The South Burnett Local Disaster Management Group are currently on lean forward and are supporting Queensland Health as their lead agency for the COVID-19 pandemic. Recently, we have been providing assistance for testing clinics and vaccination clinics for local disaster management groups. Current focus is planning surrounding resupply of accommodation, food, should we experience a peak of COVID cases over the coming weeks. As of Monday, the 17th of January, South Burnett has had 349 COVID cases, and Cherbourg Aboriginal Shire Council had 104 COVID cases. The LDMG has also created a health subgroup. Both the LDMG and health subgroup are currently meeting weekly on Tuesdays. The local disaster recovery group has not moved to stand up. However, we are currently running fortnightly human and social recovery meetings. South Burnett region has also been declared a disaster area and activated with the following financial assistance packages available under the disaster recovery funding arrangements. As a result of the ex-tropical cyclone Seth from the 7th to the 10th of January. We acknowledge the Queensland Government and Queensland Reconstruction Authority, the QRA, for their available funding. And below is a table of the DRFA assistance measures activated for the South Burnett. The full DRFA activate summary can be found on this website. Water and wastewater water and wastewater. The following are current planned works updated as of the 20th of the 10th, 2021. Capital works for the 2021 and current water main replacements are SCADA and cybersecurity updates, replacing existing SCADA to regionalised systems, and the KTP from Alfred to Haley Street water main replacement. As of the 21st, 22nd, capital works are under planning. Restriction and dam levels as of the 10th of the 1st, 2022, as all towns still remain on level 3 water restrictions. The key highlights are the QWRAP bid pool application, water quality testing for treatment optimization. South Burnett Regional Council was successful in getting some funding in the amount of $14,500, excluding GST, to assist with the THM test project we have underway. This is to simply cover the cost of test material, etc. to do this, with South Burnett Regional Council contributing staff time to undertake the testing. It's believed Gympie and North Burnett may also contribute and run some of their water through our process towards the end. Waiting on the results of funding submission through Building Our Regions Round 6 for off-stream storage of Bundooma water at Goodenbrook. Provisions of the off-stream storage would significantly reduce risk associated with the need to use 100% Goodenbrook source water in periods when Bundooma supplies are offline. And Council continues to monitor water storage throughout the region. Current levels are as the 20th of the 1st, 2022 are Bundooma Dam, 99.2%, BP Dam, 101.1%, Goodenbrook Dam, 98.6%, and Boo Bear Dam, 36%. And the year-to-date received wastewater request is 164 and as follows. Pump station, 10. Wastewater blockage, 25. Wastewater odour, 15. Wastewater overflow, 25. And other wastewater issues, 88. And a year-to-date with the received water supply requests of 939. Hydrant valve leaks, 58. Leaking main, 234. Pressure or low flow, 56. Water quality, 63. Water service meter, 315. And other water issues, 213. And the completed capital works for noting are the KTP in Haley Street, a 200 millimetre diameter water main replacement, and the KTP Street water main replacement for Glendon and Short Street, and Wandai and Haley Street, the water main replacement in Hodge and Scott Street. I would like to now have my local disaster management, water and wastewater portfolio to be accepted through Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fryloff. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jones? Yep, thank you. Okay, we'll go around the room. We'll go the other way this time. Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as you know, I watch this report eagerly every month, and it's been some time since we've seen water storages at this rate, isn't it? What a fantastic report. Thanks, Councillor Fryloff. I mean, to see our water storages, and as you know, I'd probably harped on this every month when we were 28%, 26%, 24% in Bundooma, and to see over the past 6 or 8 weeks, to see Bundooma at over 100% for several weeks, and BP Dam, Goodenbrook Dam, absolutely sensational. That being said, I mean, it was 2013 since we saw those water storages overflow as such, and it's been a wonderful thing for the rural sector, but how important it is for our towns as well. So greatly appreciated and great to see, and I still cross those tributaries every day and look over the bridges and look forward to the next time that they run. So thank you, Councillor Fryloff.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Councillor Duff.
Yeah, I just think it's wonderful to see the dams at this level, and takes a lot of pressure off Council. And yeah, thanks for the report, Councillor Fryloff.
Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, nothing further from me to add. I just did have a question in relation to those dam levels. They are so good. I just wondered, at what point do we review water restrictions, or do we maintain the level? I know residents in our area are exceptionally frugal water users already. But yes, I was just wondering if they've been automatically shifted or changed because of these new levels, or whether that's something we look to do into the future.
General Manager, your thoughts, process moving forward with water restrictions?
Mayor Otto, I believe we've got Tim with us, who's the material matter expert, so I will pass to him. But we have, there's more than the, I suppose, rural water availability that impacts our restriction, and it comes back to our overall availability. But I will pass to Tim for the detail.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. So essentially, dam storage level is one part component of our water restriction policy, but the majority of our water restrictions are based around our actual ability of our treatment plants to supply throughput. So at this stage, we will review it, but I don't foresee that we would actually lower that level. So the Gordon Brook throughput, for example, which and that was the same reason why we didn't go to higher level restrictions prior to the dams filling up, is that whilst the dams were decreasing, our throughput, our demand was meeting our ability to treat water. And that's really the major trigger that we use to restrict tighter water controls. And at this stage, our demand is not exceeding our capability to treat water.
Thank you for the clarification and also the update on the Building Our Regions off-stream storage submission and the water project, water quality testing project. Great update. Thank you.
Councillor Potter.
Yeah, no, look, I've got no questions. I think it's a great report and it is great to see those dam levels.
Councillor Jones.
All good, Mr Mayor. Great report.
We'll go back to you, Councillor Froloff, just for final comments before we go to the vote. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I've just had an update on the COVID cases in the South Burnett from the lovely Donna. 640 cases as of the 31st of this last month in the South Burnett, and many of these have recovered, and the next VAX clinic will be out Wandai, but no dates have been confirmed yet. And also Cherbourg cases as of the 27th of the first up to the 27th of the 1st was 234. So I just wanted to give you a heads up for that. And we'll let people know when the next VAX clinics are available. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Froloff. We'll look forward to that information coming through once you've got it. Let's go to the vote now. Those in favour? I think we've got everyone. Carried unanimously. Thank you all. We're now up to 8.1, which is questions on notice. That's at page 54. And the questions, there's 3 questions there. Councillor Duff, Councillor Shoemaker on the others. And the recommendation is that the responses to the questions raised be received and noted. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker, seconded Councillor Duff. So we might just go to the councillors, Councillor Duff and Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Duff, you first. Are you comfortable with the response to your question?
Mr Mayor, just on that and on the first one with regards to the report back about the $2 million allocation. So I've done some homework and found that in the forward capital budget, which was for 21-22, there was $3.2 million listed for bitumen resealing. And then when there was a resolution came to council to do the KTP project, that amount then was changed to reseal program from 1.1, so it went back to 1.1. And then in 22-23, the $2 million was then allocated towards the Kingaroy Transformation Project. So that's where that, when I made that statement that I believe that money came from resealing, I have the documentation and the budget changes to back up what I had originally said. So that's why I'm just clarifying what I said, and I'm just thinking that the answer has not been as detailed as it possibly could have been. Just want to make that note. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. General Manager, we'll come back to you at the end because these are all infrastructure matters, just to wrap up with your staff. But we'll go to Councillor Shoemaker next. Councillor Shoemaker, your questions, are you comfortable with those responses?
Yes, certainly. I think the roundabout signage in those areas will be great. I know the residents will much appreciate it. So good to hear they've been ordered, and look forward to seeing them up soon.
Yeah, thank you. And don't they look great? I've seen some of the street signs, the blades, I think you call them, James, and they look absolutely schmick. Saw one yesterday on Wandai at Edward Street, and gee, it looks good. And looking forward to seeing those roundabout signs go up. at Cowie Drive and other places. So that's great. Yeah, that's been a great outcome. Yeah, Councillor Duff, you had a question there about contractors. I'm pretty comfortable with the answer on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to question about the slashing on the main roads. I've been led to believe that the main roads only pay for 2 rounds of slashing, and that's why we're seeing that some of the main roads are not, they're over intervention level, like around Rural, and there's grass over the top of the guideposts. And I just wanted clarification, is that why that's happening? Because we haven't actually got a budget. We're only allowed to do 2 rounds of slashing.
Thank you, General Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I will pass to Kev. Hopefully, he might have a little bit more detail specifically. Generally, it's we have under our RMPC an allocation, and that's based on a network broken into its parts, and that is worked out on a number of passes. In our own, the 2 passes, for example, is something that we use to calculate our budget on our council road network. Kev, can you add any specific information? Is there actually a correlation between the budget that we're provided under RMPC and the number of passes? Generally, once we hit intervention level, we go and do the work. And I would not expect that to be controlling us, but I'll pass to you, Kev.
Yeah, that's correct, Jed. Probably similar to council maintenance budget. So this is under the RMPC, the Road Maintenance Performance Contract. We are given an allocation which is primarily historically based. For us, it's about $2 million to do maintenance on main roads. It's not restricted in terms of slashing. It's not restricted to 2 rounds per annum. It's there's an intervention level that we need to commence, in this particular case, commence by, and then there's a response time period. But to answer your question directly, Councillor Duff, no, it's not restricted to 2 rounds per annum.
General Manager, if I could just perhaps inject there, I've submitted many customer requests on this, particularly in relation to seriously overgrown highways around our region. And the response that I've got back from the infrastructure team is that they can't be progressed because we've restricted to 2 rounds. That DTMR will only allow us to complete 2 rounds of slashing, which seems ridiculous where we've got 6-foot high grass on our highways. So, yeah, it would be good to get that clarified, because that's the information I'm getting back from the infrastructure staff in the replies to the customer requests.
I'm happy to
Mayor, yeah, Kev, sorry. You go ahead,
You're
Kev.
right. Yeah, I'm happy to chase that up and clarify that the responses that we've given you and confirm the context in which they were given.
Thank you. Yeah, it was Bunya Highway and Diagula Highway particularly were 2 very concerning areas. I can forward those. I'll forward those responses on to you, Kev, so you can have a look at those. That'd be appreciated.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Duff, any further for you before we go back? We wrap this one up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. General Manager, did you want to add anything further to those responses to those questions before we wrap that up in terms of your report? I think you might be on mute, Jed, but we'll take that as a no, because I think you were shaking, not nodding. You good? Okay, thank you. Well, if everyone's
sorry, thank you.
If everyone's happy, Councillor Shoemaker, as the mover, anything to wrap up? Final comments? No, we'll go to the vote then. Those in favour? Yes, there we are. Carried unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, now 9.1, the recommendation is that Council considers the confidential reports listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with Section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. 9.1 is the assessment of a tender, SBRC 21/22-05, for the design and construction of pump station switchboard upgrade. And this matter is considered to be confidential under section 254-G of the local government regulation. Council is satisfied that discussion on this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest, as it deals with negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government, for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government. Do we have a mover? Mover, yep. Councillor Henson, second to Councillor Duff, yep. Okay, yep. We've got that. So we'll go to the vote on this. If there's no speakers, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Yes, I think we've got everybody. Thank you all. So that's been carried unanimously, and we'll now close the open public meeting to go into closed committee. Thank you all. Okay. Welcome back all. In relation to item 19.1, recommendation is that the committee meeting discussion be noted and the matter be discussed at the February Ordinary Council meeting in accordance with resolution 2022/375. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff, second to Councillor Henson. Speakers, those in favour? Carried. Yep, there's Roz's hand. Carried unanimously. Thank you all. I'll now call the meeting to a close at 1:07 p.m. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of day.